What would you do if a relative's unhealthy fixation on your partner escalated to a point where you feared for your family's safety in your own home? In today's story, my choice was a masterclass in drawing a line in the sand, and it all started when my cousin came to visit. I know the title. I kicked my cousin and his autistic son out of my house. Sounds harsh, but please, hear me out. My older cousin, Mark, has a son, Dylan, who is in his early 20s. Dylan is autistic and, while he holds a part-time job, he is significantly delayed in many developmental areas and his parents have accepted he'll never live independently. To be precise, Mark is technically my second cousin, making Dylan my third cousin, I think, but in our family, we don't really follow that formal nomenclature. He's the generation after me, and calling him my nephew just feels simpler and more natural, a reflection of the closeness I've always felt with his father. Recently, Mark and his wife have been thinking about relocating to our state for work, and we've hosted them during their visits. The first time they stayed with us, before my own son was born, Dylan seemed to develop a very strong attachment to my wife, Chloe. He always wanted to be near her, following her from room to room. Before they left that first time, he drew a picture of a heart and picked some flowers from our garden, presenting them to her and telling her he loved her. Chloe, being the kind soul she is, thought it was sweet. She gently tried to manage his crush, telling him she would always love him as his aunt, but that she was sure he would find another special girl to fill his heart one day. Dylan's response was immediate and firm. No, he said, looking right at her. You're my girlfriend. At the time, I admit I found it amusing. Because of his developmental delays, I've always seen Dylan as a large kid, and I was genuinely surprised he had any romantic notions at all. This initial interaction was a key moment, though we didn't see it at the time. This wasn't a fleeting childhood fancy, but the seed of a fixation that would soon put our entire family to a harrowing test. This past weekend, they came to stay with us again. The situation escalated almost immediately. Dylan once again shadowed Chloe, wanting to be near her every chance he got. His parents noticed. They explained to him that now, with our infant son, Leo, needing her care, Chloe couldn't give him as much attention as before. That's when the calm shattered. Dylan became visibly upset. His voice rose, cracking with emotion as he insisted, "She is my girlfriend." He descended into a full-blown meltdown. The sudden outburst of screaming and crying startled baby Leo, who immediately started wailing in fear. Chloe, instinctively, got up to take our crying son to another room to calm him down. As she moved toward the hallway, Dylan shot up to follow her. His father, Mark, reacted instantly, lunging forward to physically restrain him. My own protective instincts kicked in. I immediately stood up and moved to block the hallway leading to the back rooms, planting my feet as a human barrier just in case Dylan broke free from his dad's grasp. My only thought was for the safety of my wife and my child. I didn't know how Dylan would react, but seeing Mark struggle to hold him back, I wasn't about to let him get anywhere near them. As one person later commented, summing up the gravity of the moment perfectly, "Hang on. Your wife is hiding in another room with your infant son. You are having to block the corridor and your cousin is fighting to restrain a fully grown adult to keep him away from her." Seeing it laid out like that, you can't really see how I could be the bad guy for not wanting that to happen ever again. Once Mark and his wife calmed Dylan down, they apologized profusely for his behavior, promising they would keep a closer watch on him. But for me, a line had been crossed. This is the part where I might be the asshole. I looked at Mark and his wife and told them, "I don't feel comfortable with Dylan being so possessive of Chloe, and I know for a fact she isn't comfortable either, especially since he seems to be so jealous of our own son." I then laid down the boundary that I knew would change our relationship forever. I told them I could not allow their son back into our home until he learned to control himself and truly understood that my wife was not, and would never be, his girlfriend. I apologized for the difficulty of the situation but asked them to find a hotel for the rest of their stay. I added that in the future, if they needed to visit to search for jobs, they were welcome, but Dylan would have to be left behind with someone they trusted. This was the moment I had to choose between being the understanding relative and being the protector of my home. My decision reveals a fundamental truth: a person's primary responsibility is to the safety and well-being of their immediate family, no matter how painful the consequences. They didn't say a word. They just looked at me with an expression of deep sadness, then turned and went to the guest room to pack their bags. The silence in the house after they left was deafening. A day later, my phone rang. It was my paternal grandmother. I guess Mark's family had told my extended family what happened, because my grandmother launched into a lecture, telling me I should have been more understanding and that I was completely wrong to ask them to leave. Another commenter rightly pointed out that my primary duty was to Chloe. They wrote that my wife should not be on edge in her own home, made to feel as though she needs to be polite while a fully grown adult is restrained because she isn't acting like his girlfriend. They concluded that I would have been the asshole if I hadn't asked them to leave. This perspective validates my core feeling: the safety of my son and wife comes first. End of story. I haven't responded to my grandmother or reached out to Mark yet. I think we both need time to process what happened. I still hope that one day we can have a close relationship again, but I don't see how that's possible after this. In the end, I learned that setting boundaries isn't about being cruel. It's about protecting the peace and safety of the people you love most. True understanding can't mean accepting a situation that makes your partner and child feel unsafe in their own home. So, I leave you with this question: have you ever had to make a painful decision to protect your immediate family, even if it meant creating a rift with your extended family? Let me know in the comments below.